check. Today's guest, right? No, wait. Today we're joined by a former NBA point guard, Olympian. Am I correct?
Yes, 88 Olympics.
There you go. And a true competitor from the golden era of 90s basketball, which I miss. I miss a whole lot, Bimbo. Please welcome Bimbo Coles. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I,
thanks for having me, man. I appreciate that. And that 90s era was something special in basketball in the NBA.
yeah, oh no, absolutely. Today's game is they either chucking threes and from half court or 60 feet away. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah,
get it. I mean,
it's a different game today, that's for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. You were drafted in the second round in 19, I want to say 89 or
90.
nine. Okay,
90.
see, I was a year off. All right, all right. See, I'm a fan. I was a year off. 1990. What was that draft night like for you?
Uh, I know when I talk about draft night in 1990, I wasn't in New York. Um, It wasn't that stressful because I don't know, but I really wasn't worried about it. I was having like a party at Virginia Tech. That's where I went to college. So I was at school. Was having a few people over for draft night, but I know this sound as crazy as this sounds. I wasn't even there for most of the first round because I was playing in I was uh I was playing softball. So I
Wait,
was
wait, wait. That night?
that night, yeah, I was playing.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so as crazy as it sound, I was just always hooping and I was always competing when I was on the floor, even though I played in the Olympics, which was really unexpected. I just didn't really think about the NBA much.
Wow.
Um, I really didn't really even know how good I was. So that
You
night,
serious, Bimbo?
I'm serious as a heart attack, bro. And
Holy
that
wow.
night I was still, in April, you was still in school. So, I can't say there was obligations, but I was a competitor. I was an athlete. I was drafted to play baseball. So, um, I loved playing softball and I was playing in our softball league at Virginia Tech. When the game was over, I just went back and joined everybody. It's kind of wild that, once I got back to the party in my apartment, um, 30 minutes later, I got a call from, Ron Rothstein, who was the head coach with the Miami Heat at the time, and they had just made a trade with Sacramento to be able to take me at that pick. So still kind of a little bit surreal, thinking about that night. But what a blessing to be able to be picked by Miami and to go out and play.
Absolutely. Who did you start that year?
I did not start, but I was playing a lot of minutes.
Like
I
15, 20, right?
Yeah, and Sherman Douglas at the time, which his the year before that had a great year, and I think that they thought that Sherman Douglas was going to be their point guard for many years, and here comes another guy that was, we were two different types of players, but I pushed him like crazy, and I got my minutes, and then the next year they traded him to Boston Celtics
Yep, I remember.
for Brian Shaw, and then Brian Shaw and I, which is great guy, great friend still today. Had an awesome relationship when we were playing, and we basically split minutes for the next few years. So Yeah,
Wow.
it's just great times.
You had two stints in Miami. What made Miami so special?
I just think just the organization in itself. Um, we were family.
Right. Right.
Mickey Harrison and the Harrison family were just incredible people. Pat Riley had came in and just kind of changed the culture.
Yep.
I had a great relationship with Pat Riley, and just the staff that was there from, the ball boys all the way up through the administration to, the owner, Mickey Harrison and his family. So, um, I was looking to sign at the time. I was looking to sign back with the Boston Celtics because I had been there for like 3 months towards the end of that year. But,
Hmm.
Miami was just like going home. And, I went back and finished my career there and then actually was coach for him for 2 years after that. So, um, it was just kind of an easy call. Miami was home.
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I can agree with that. I like to ask ball players, right? This question. Any moment, is there any moment like in your career that still gives you goosebumps? Till this day, Bimbo.
Gosh, just stepping out on the floor, man. I think
Everyone says that.
yeah, I just think, when we talked about it a little bit before we start recording at the beginning, when, you talk about like a safe place, going through life and the challenges that I went through as a kid, being on the basketball court was heaven
Right.
for me. It was an escape from everything that was going on outside the lines of the basketball court. So anytime I got to step on the basketball and play at that level, which, is the highest level, and, you get to compete with the best athletes in the world. So, I mean, when I get goosebumps now, it's just kind of like just stepping on that court and being with the guys and being able to compete with them on a daily basis was just kind of like a privilege. And every time I stepped on the court was just, it was my safe place and it was my heaven. So it still gives me goosebumps today to talk about, each day, to have that opportunity to play
It's
and compete
amazing.
at the highest level.
Did you ever think you'll make it to the league?
I never did. When we talk about,
Well, you was more into softball.
well, I was at the time I was. Um, I just never knew. I really never knew how good I was. Every time I stepped on the court, it was all about competing. I'm a competitor, a fierce competitor. Even still today, I'm still a fierce competitor. So stepping on the court every single day was just kind of like it was a privilege. And I just didn't know how good I was. I was just playing like it was like, taking, one day at a time. Um, and I didn't
Yeah.
really understand how good I was. Until the Olympics, when I got back from the Olympics in '88, it was just like, hold up, maybe I can make the NBA, but it's just not wasn't something that I thought about. I know a lot of people talk about, especially former players or players now, that was like their goal. And that's something that they thought about,
Yeah. Daily.
since they were kids.
Hmm.
But for me, it wasn't that. I was just this fierce competitor that loved to compete. I mean, I was drafted to play baseball. I had multiple scholarships to play football in college, a bunch of D1 schools. Um, multiple scholarships to play basketball. So for me, it was just kind of like, let's get on the court, let's get on the field, and let's just compete.
So
And
so you played football, basketball, and baseball.
yes,
Holy smokes.
yeah.
Wow.
And Yeah, so I mean
No, that's a true athlete. Like
that was my
seriously.
yeah, that was just my makeup. And, from, but I had the love for the game of basketball. Football season, after football practice, I was going straight to the basketball court.
And who wants to get
Oh,
hit like that too, Bimbo?
Uh,
Who wants to get hit like
no,
that?
but I mean, I thrived on that. It's like I was always the fastest guy on the team, or fastest guy on the field. So I didn't get really hit a lot. Um, but I was being recruited as a DB, and I love to hit. I didn't like to be hit, but I
Wait, how?
love
Wait.
to hit. So
So you didn't like to be hit, but you like to hit.
I like to dish it
A
out. Yes.
DB. Wow.
Yeah. So
And how tall are
uh,
you, Bimbo?
I'm 6'2".
Wow, no, that's pretty, yeah. For a DB, that's yeah, yeah, something to look out for. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want you coming towards me.
Yeah, and I
No
was the
way.
fastest guy, so I was fast too. So coming with that speed, and I just didn't have no fear um, on the football field. I just didn't. I mean, I didn't have a fear. I mean, I think that's what really made me a really good basketball player because I wasn't afraid to mix it up. I wasn't afraid to get into the lane. And the game back then was so physical. You were getting beat up every single night. You were getting knocked out of, what was, it's you get knocked out of the air. Big guys just going through the lane was going to check you, all of these things that in today's game, which is a flagrant foul, was just a regular foul, back then, or even if they did call it. So,
That's right.
um,
You see, you had a
and
few. me and me and Dana was talking about it, Dana Barrows. And there were a few cats that you really had to look out for. And that was I'm a Knicks fan, right? So you had Oakley, uh Otis Thorpe. He was woo massive. Um,
And Otis Thorpe was probably one of the strongest humans that I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, yeah.
and he even mentioned Karl Malone. No, Pete Chilcutt. I'm sorry. He mentioned Karl Malone. He said he saw Karl Malone leave. What was it? Anywho, his body fat was like less than 4% or something like that. I said, wow. So I'm picturing this whole scenario. 6'8", 6'9", massive. Imagine him, imagine him running down, just going full court and just running straight through you. Oh my God. Wow. So you guys
Yeah,
had to deal with that.
yeah,
Xavier McDaniel,
yep,
another hand checking monster. You had the Pistons in the 90s. Wow. So yeah, and you're right. Back then it was just only that's it, regular foul. Now
yeah,
you either getting ejected, you getting suspended 25 games, you getting sued 65,000. Back in the day, you was swinging at somebody and just getting a technical foul.
yeah. I
So
mean, that's
things
the way
change
it
a lot.
was. It's changed a lot. It has.
Damn, Bimbo, you
That
dealt
was
with
just kind
that.
of the physicality was much different back then than it is now. I mean, you can't even touch a guy today. I mean, they think that, the game is suited more for fans today than it was back then because they didn't, it was a fest some nights. Now scoring's up and,
Well, I'm sorry,
the
Bimbo. The
huge,
flopping is
yeah,
at an
you
all-time
can't even,
high.
yeah, the flopping. I mean, come on.
I tell all my friends that all ball players like, hey, yeah, the flopping has to stop. For some reason they have LeBron James up there as the number one flopper. Now I don't agree with that, but talking about LeBron, right? Right? Yeah. We coming in hot. We coming in hot, Bimbo. We gonna leave that for later, right? But do you have any MJ stories?
My best MJ story might have been 92 playoffs, first round with the Miami Heat. We're playing the Bulls. They banged us up first two games up in Chicago. It's the Miami Heat's first. playoff game ever. We're back in Miami. Place is rocking. The intensity. I mean, it was in the air when you walked in the building. You can just feel it. Fans were going crazy. Clackers. They had these clacker things. Was making all this noise. It was. I mean, the environment was incredible. And we come out. We're busting the Bulls up in the first quarter. Jordan hasn't scored. Um, we come out after the first quarter. I think it was like me, Brian Shaw, Steve Smith, Glenn Rice, and Ronnie Cycli. I think we were in the game at the time. Me, Steve, Brian, and Glenn walked over to Mike, which he was taking the ball out of bounds. Um, and we was talking junk. We were like, not tonight. We beating y'all tonight. This is us. We're beating you guys tonight and just talking junk. He looked up at us with them red eyes and said, young fellas, I played 36 holes of golf today and I was just going to chill. But now I'm going to bust y'all's ass. And then I think from that second quarter on, he had 50 plus points.
Jeez.
50
Wow.
plus, and he was just doing some of the most incredible stuff that I've ever seen on the basketball court. I never forget going in the locker room after the game, and Coach Kevin Lockery, his speech was, and I think that was like the only thing he said was, young fellas, when the sleeping bears sleep, let him sleep.
Don't poke him.
Don't poke the sleeping bear. And I think that was the last time that I ever said a word to Michael Jordan.
Everyone says the same thing. I'm sorry,
And
Bimbo, but everyone says the same thing.
well, you know what's so crazy is like today you have all these old heads and OGs that can sit back and talk about the GOAT and LeBron and all of that, and they talk a little bit junk about Michael, and and I'm thinking, you talking junk about the brother now. You wouldn't have said a word to that brother back in the day when we were playing. It's like that's kind of messed up that you can like talk junk about him now, but you knew better back in the day to say a word about him because he was fierce, man. He was a fierce competitor, and I think that's what made him great, and I think that's what made him the GOAT. Is like he's fierce, man. His competitiveness was elite. Um,
Should that even be a question, LeBron or Jordan?
I don't think so, really. And don't get me wrong. I mean, LeBron's a freak, man. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see another player like him. But I think what separates him, and I do think he's the second best player of all time. I
I
do.
agree.
Um, and I do think it's, fair to kind of make that comparison. But when you look at Jordan, Jordan put fear in everybody, and not just offensively, defensively. And if you said something to him, he was going, I mean, he just was he was gonna make you look bad. I mean, he
Wow.
had an assassin. I mean, he was an assassin, and he wanted to beat you so bad that you never thought about putting his name in your mouth again. And
That's crazy.
the fear that he put in players, when I look at LeBron, he hasn't put that fear in people like Jordan. And his stats are unbelievable, but nobody was scared of LeBron defensively. You didn't have guys that were have like Jordanitis. We used to call Jordanitis. It was like guys that when Chicago was coming into town, they got a 24-hour flu and wouldn't play.
Wow.
You didn't see that with LeBron. So, statistically, LeBron is off the charts. But, from playing and going and the fear that Jordan put in people, you have never seen another player like that.
You see, Bimbo, we're gonna be best friends. Because I love Jordan. Hey, I love Jordan. I love MJ. He's number one, two, and three. That's how I say it. I always say he's number one, two, and three. LeBron is four, Kobe is five. Straight up. I've never seen something like it. His moves, his flashiness. Defensively, he was a monster. A lot of people don't know that about him. If you really watched Jordan, then you know that he was a monster on both sides of the court, right? So, I can agree with that, Bimbo. We're gonna be best friends.
Right
Who
on.
who who, who is your toughest matchup?
Uh,
Was there
man,
someone that always picked on you or tried to pick on you for some
no,
reason?
nobody, and here's one of the things. Nobody ever picked on me. Um, I think that I think my competitiveness was elite as well. And I had a crazy switch too that, I wasn't scared of you. So I was really never picked on. Um, but just a number of guys. Of course, Jordan is everybody's nightmare. But you talk about Kevin Johnson, who was out in Phoenix. Tim Hardaway was a nightmare. Ivan Iverson was a nightmare. You're talking about guys that I think what matched up well with me was when guys had the same type, like Iverson. I don't really, if I go back in my 14 years playing basketball, I can sit here and say I only thought that there was one guy that was ever faster than me on the basketball court, and that was Iverson.
Wow.
So, when you have somebody that's coming at you on every single possession and you got to lock up and be ready every single possession, them were the toughest guards. Um, I tried for most part, because my background, I had a football background. So
Yeah.
for me, the intimidation factor played a lot in how I played because I really wasn't scared to fight if I had to. And I
hmm
foul the crap out of guys every single night. So, I was one of these guys that had a reputation that you didn't really want to mess with because he was kind of crazy.
Right, right.
And that's just the way I played. But, Kevin Johnson, Isaiah was tough too because, you had to be careful how you played him because he would say, "Yo, Rick, get Bimbo off me." So I had to always, have my head on a swivel because you had Rick that was trying to jack me up at half court. You had, Lambeer who was trying to, set these killer screens on you. So with Isaiah, as good as he is, and Isaiah he's in my top 5 point guards to ever play. Um, so he, not only guard him, but you had to keep your head on the swivel to watch out for Rick Mahorn and Bill Laimbeer.
Tough team. A
Yes.
very
Tough.
tough team. Any stories in like locker room moments? Like, for instance, who's the funniest teammate you ever played with?
Well, G Money might be Glenn Rice might be the one of the funniest that I just on a daily basis.
Really?
Um,
Wow.
just
Okay.
because, Glenn was always messing with somebody. He was always joking or crack. We call it cracking back in the day. I didn't really have an opportunity to play with Shaq, but I was coaching when Shaq was in Miami. And I saw some of the funniest stuff in the locker room that I've ever seen from the big fella, which is, Shaq is an amazing person. I enjoy being a part of, that organization coaching when he was there. And but just some of the stuff that he would do in the locker room, this you really can't even talk about. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
Okay.
yeah.
Wow, Glenn Rice. I would have never thought.
Yeah, G
Wow.
Money was funny too. He's still funny. I mean, you play golf with him and it's very enjoyable and you have a great job. I mean, a great time playing with him because he's unapologetically himself, which I think is great.
Okay, so this leads to this question. Any any wild, if you can talk about it, obviously, any wild road trip or any let's see, locker room story that you're allowed to share. Let's put it that way.
Um,
Were people fighting back then, Bimbo? In the locker room?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Like, oh,
practice.
I'll see you in the locker room. We gonna fight. It was like that?
Well, it was more on the court. I mean, we've had some battles in the back gym in practice. Um,
Oh wow.
it was physical where, when I first got to Miami, our second unit was actually better than our first unit. And we were scrappy, tough. We played every possession as hard as we could. And early on, our starters didn't like that. And we used to
Oof.
call them prima donnas, our second group. And we would bust them up in the back gym like every practice because we were more competitive and we didn't have, like, overall, our second unit didn't have the talent that the
Right.
first unit had, but we made up for how hard we played, our grit and the way we came at people. We were highly competitive. I mean, you look at, Keith Askins and, um, Matt Geiger, these guys
Wow. Big
that
Matt.
yeah. And
Wow.
so we were coming at the starters every single day. And it was led, I mean, it was led by me because I only knew one way, and that was to play as hard as you can play every single possession. And because of the love of the game of basketball, that's the way I practiced as well.
Right.
And
Right.
that rubbed off to, the second unit. Um, and we that's the way we approached the game, and we came to practice ready to play every single day, which made it fun. I mean, it did. It was, something that you really look forward to. Um, it was going to practice because we loved it and we went at it.
That's great. That's awesome. Any crazy fan story?
The only fans, I mean, we had, like, gollies in DC, Washington, the Bullets. They were the Bullets at the time, man. They had a guy that was called the heckler. He sat behind our bench and he had season tickets, but he sat behind the visitors bench, like right behind us, and he just went on the whole game. I mean, he had skits. He had stuff that he made up before the game. He knew everything about every player.
Wow.
And he just stayed on you the whole game. But he was actually a pretty cool dude. Um,
Oh, you
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 could, after the
actually sat down
game,
with him and spoke to him one
yeah,
time?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we knew I mean, and I can't even remember the guy's name, and they just called him the heckler. And it was with the Washington Bullets. And man, he used to just be on your butt every game, but he was just very knowledgeable of the game. So he was kind of funny. And he didn't, he didn't say anything about your mama. He didn't say it wasn't
But
anything.
everything else was fair. It was
Yeah,
fair
yeah,
game.
yeah. So he kept it, he basically kept it clean.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh,
we
that's
knew
cool.
we knew it was coming. So and we knew what to expect. Never bothered us, but it was just more funny than anything. Um, as far as fans, Philly, you go to Philly, you got the rudest fans in the world. Um, and they didn't care. They talk about your mama, your color. It didn't matter. They was just straight up rude. I mean,
But
and that was,
what do you mean by color? Like the color of your skin?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
see, no, that's not.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
just,
no, no.
stuff that, back then, you know, I mean, there was times that I remember one guy just talking junk to me like crazy, and it was, talking about my mama and my kids and all of this stuff.
Wow.
And I can remember going through the tunnel and him leaning over the tunnel, over the edge, looking at me, just talking after we just lost.
Oh, you want to knock him out?
Dude, it took everything I had because he was like right there. All I had to do was like, bam. But I just bit
Now,
my
okay,
lip.
if that would have happened, Bimbo, if that would have happened, what would
I'd have been done.
what would have happened to you?
I would have been done. I would have been done. So I just bit my lip and just walked on by him.
Boy, you're talking back in the day, so you probably would have gotten fined and maybe suspended
I
30
don't know,
some games.
if you remember Art Test and them going up in the stands, that was kind of like the first time some of that stuff had happened,
Yeah, but that was
was going
crazy.
going after a fan.
That
So
was crazy.
yeah, so it was just, I mean, it was just kind of messed up back then too, because there's nothing you can have a fan come in and say what they want because they knew we couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, but that's
And
not right.
nowadays, still as a player, you can't have an altercation where it turns into a fist fight,
Right, right, right.
but you can get that fan out of the arena now and get them banned for what they said. Back then, you couldn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's happened to I think Russell Westbrook a couple of times. And
Yeah,
he
and
gets a lot of fans ejected.
it just happened to a baseball player in the
Oh yeah,
major
yeah, yeah.
leagues like a
Yesterday.
couple days ago.
Yeah, it happened yesterday. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. He was yeah, I think there was he went at his mom or his mom passed away a couple of years ago
yes,
and
yes.
he
So,
he started
and
crying.
that's the situation where, I mean, you think about it. You're in the stands and you're talking junk to somebody that probably could hurt you bad.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and you think you're all big and bad because you're protected and you're in the stands and you can just say what you want to this guy, which is an athlete, but still human. And I think at times fans forget that they miss the human aspect of it because you got this guy who's very, very talented in what he does, and he's making tons of money. So,
See, I think I'm sorry to cut you off, Bimbo, but I think that's the issue. The issue is not I don't think not so much the talent, but the money aspect, right? Oh, he's a millionaire, right? He's not in, let's just say, in my category, right? So they see him as a celeb already,
yeah,
right? So I think they forget that, he's from Chicago somewhere, right? He's from the projects. He's just a regular human being. It's just that he's an athlete, someone you watch on a daily basis if you're a fan, but they seem to forget.
yeah,
So I think that's the issue, the money aspect.
yeah, and I agree with that 100% because you forget that this guy, when he leaves the arena or Coliseum, he goes home to a family.
Absolutely.
He just happened to get paid, a lot of money for what he does for, this is work.
Weekly at that. I know how you guys get paid. You guys get paid
Yeah.
bi-weekly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, bi-weekly. So,
Nice little change, Bimbo, bi-weekly.
yeah.
I wish that was me, man. I'm sorry. I love basketball, Bimbo. I love basketball so much. I was so upset that my Knicks got kicked. Oh, but it's all
Yeah,
right
that was
though.
that was that was bad. I mean, the Knicks are. I like their makeup. The only one I don't really like on that team is Carl Anthony. I just not sold on him as somebody that you can win championships with. And I'm sorry to say that, but your boy,
No,
your
no, no,
Brunson is.
Bimbo.
I think he's like the man. I love I love the way he plays. And but I just Carl Anthony Towns, man, is just to me, is just not the guy you're going to win with.
See, right now, right? As of right now, it goes like this. For me, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Shea, Brunson. That's it. It's those two. You can't say Curry. You can't say Trey. You can't say who else. Well, Tyrese. I mean, I guess you can say Tyrese, but he's not better than Jalen Brunson. Impossible.
No,
Jalen is
no,
number
no,
two.
not at all.
They
You
just had a
can't.
better team. That's just what it
Yeah.
is.
Not only that, I mean,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. A better coach.
yeah, Brunson
There
is
you go.
legit, man. I agree with you there. He's legit, man. I watch him play, and I'm like, he's crafty. He uses his body well. He's patient. He's
Leg movement is
composed.
amazing. His
Yeah.
leg movement, like his footwork, is
The
just
work is
impeccable.
it's amazing. It is, and I love watching him play. I mean, it's just he's nice.
See,
He's
I
not.
thought you was gonna say Muel Bridges because I feel like he doesn't belong there.
Well, he's just kind of like he's just one of your solid players. I mean, he's not going to be the one that's going to get you over the hump, but he's not going to hurt you as well. I think just Carl Anthony Towns. He makes. He's a freaking 7-footer wanting to shoot threes all the daggone time, and he goes to the basket. He looks like he's flopping and failing all over the place, and he makes mistakes, and then he doesn't do it. It doesn't give
I
you what
like
you
you,
need
Bimbo. I
on the
like you. I
defensive
like you a
end.
lot. You the man. You the man, Bimbo. I like. No, see, you know what? You're right though. That's why I'm laughing because you're absolutely right. It's just it sucks that other, especially an ex NBA player, sees that. Like it it's just oh man. I feel like a lot of people say he's soft. Now, I'm not saying that. I don't know him personally, but I do know two people from the Knicks, right? And I've told them too. I think you should get rid of Mikal Bridges. They laugh at me, but I'm gonna keep that between us, right? They laugh at me. And I knew even before Tibbs got fired that something was brewing, right? But I kept quiet. I was like, damn, I was just so anxious, right? I was like, oh no, I need to find out. But nevertheless, I found out the same way everyone found out. But I, he, and I hate saying this. Uh, he is soft.
Yeah, he
He
is.
is soft. That's it.
I
No, he is
agree.
soft. He is soft.
I mean,
He
I know
cries like a female.
exactly. There you go.
That's it.
You can't. I mean, golly, he's always doing like this and
Yeah, look,
looks to the
yeah, little
basket,
hand
but
gestures. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
yeah,
you're
you're
right.
like, dude,
Always
you're out of
complaining.
control. You out of control going to the basket, and if you get bumped a little bit, it ain't you can't finish, and then you're crying to the refs, and the more you cry to the refs, you're not gonna get them calls. You're just not. I mean, if you just go strong to the basket, and I mean, you 7 feet tall, just go to the basket hard and freaking just bang on somebody.
Yep. Yep.
If you did that and then if you got fouled and you didn't get a call, you run back down the court. And then the next time you go hard again, you're gonna get the call. But
Do you think they were tired? I think they were tired.
absolutely, absolutely they were tired. I
Because
mean, the
Rick
Nets,
Carlisle plays what, 11 players
yeah. I mean,
max?
you had four starters. You have four starters on the Knicks that they were top 10 in minutes played. Four of your starters were in top 10 minutes played
Yeah, it's just,
throughout the season.
yeah, I know.
Dude,
Yeah.
I mean, 82 game season is long and and it's not just like the 82 games, it's more of the pounding that your body goes through. Your body goes through abuse for, for 8 months.
Did you ever play a full game?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Were you tired as heck?
I mean, back
Well,
then,
you was a
to
freak of
be
nature,
able,
so
there was times where I played the whole game and the whole overtime. You know, I think we like back
wow.
when we were playing Philly once, it was like 50 some minutes. And yeah, I was tired.
Please tell me you don't have nightmares
No, I don't have nightmares.
from that game. It's
I mean, at the time I wasn't tired, but just think about doing that over the course of the year. This
no,
is one
absolutely.
game. So I'm okay. I mean, the next day, yeah, I'm wore out. I mean, and here's the thing. This is kind of like what really separates being in the NBA and not being able to play in the NBA is being able to mentally prepare yourself for the next day when your
Uh,
body's telling you, I don't feel good, or you tweaked your ankle a little bit, or you jammed your thumb, um, or you got this huge bruise on your thigh. Um, can you mentally prepare yourself to go out and play at a high level the next day when you got these elements? Because once the season starts, you have these elements every single day. There's something, you have some kind of amount of injury. And this is not one or two players. This is, if you're getting minutes, you don't feel the greatest the next day because it's such a battle that your
right,
body, you really don't have time for your body to recover the way it should, but it's a mental thing. Can you mentally tell yourself, I'm good, let's go hoop? And that's the separation. That's what make guys that play in the NBA for a long period of time and guys that make the league, it's the mental part of it that separates you.
right. No, I agree. I agree 1000%. I have some rapid fire questions, right? Best point guard of all time.
Golly. I probably have to say Magic, but I'm a huge Curry fan, but I don't really see Curry as a point guard. Um,
What do you see him as? A shooting guard?
I just see him as like a tweener.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
He's, point between a point and two. I mean, they list him as a point, but he shoots. He'll give the ball to Green and run all picks. So I
No,
would
you're
have to
right.
say
You're right. You're right. Magic. Okay. Best trash talker you ever played with.
Gary Payton.
I just knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I'm sorry, Bimbo. I just knew it.
And it's cool too, because Gary Payton, I have nothing but love for, GP, great talent, just highly competitive and could back it up.
Oh yeah.
He
Oh
could
yeah.
back it up.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I saw GP and Sean Kemp actually. I saw both of them it was a signing. And yeah, I think I'm sitting down with Sean Kemp in 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. Shout out to the Rain Man. I know he has, some things going on, but he'll get over that hump for sure. One
Yeah, I
thousand
hope
percent.
so.
Yeah. If you could play in today's NBA, what kind of player would you be?
I would be the same as I was, but I definitely
I
would work
like
with my
that.
three.
I like that, Bimbo. I like that. That's
Yeah.
the answer that I've been looking for. I like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything the way I played. The only thing that I would have did differently is I would have worked on if I was in today's game, I would definitely have to work on my three-point shooting a little bit. But with the spacing and as fast as I was, I could get to the basket easily in today's game.
Yeah. Today,
Easily.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Who's someone from your playing days that deserves more recognition?
Mm,
And that's a big shout out to him.
I don't know, man. maybe Kevin Johnson, man, from Phoenix Suns, man. This dude was awesome. I mean, he was, dang, you don't, I can, in today's game, I can I mean, I can go talk about Kevin Johnson and people don't know who he is. But the dude was a monster. I mean, he was one of these guys that, had the green light to shoot the ball whenever he wanted to, and he was quick, he was fast, and he was coming downhill, um, hard every possession. Um,
And that Suns team had a squad.
they did, man. They were good. I mean,
Dan Marley,
yeah.
KJ. Who else was Danny Ainge, right?
I don't know
I
if
think
I
I think
think
Ainge
Danny
was on that
Ainge.
team.
Gosh, what's the big white dude's name that dunked on Mark Jackson that one time? I can't think of his name, but it looked like Mark Jackson tried to take a charge on him, and when he hit Mark Jackson, he went up another level and dunked it, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" I
No,
want
I
to
don't.
say Chambers, maybe. Can't think of his first name right now.
Was Tisdale in that team? He
I
was, right?
think Wayman Tisdale was on that team as well.
Oh, they
Um,
had a squad.
yeah, power forward, that lefty that had all kinds of moves and had that
I
big
remember
ball.
when KJ dunked on Hakeem Olajuwon. No, was it Hakeem? Yeah, it was
Yes,
Hakeem, right?
yes.
He
Yeah.
just
Went
boom.
baseline,
But
turn, hit
yeah,
him in the air, turn, bam.
yep, amazing. What
Yeah.
about no? What Wesley Person was he there too?
He might have been. Oh, Wesley. I
Yeah,
played
yeah,
with Wesley in Cleveland. Great guy too, as well.
yeah. I hit him up the other day. I'm waiting for him to for him to respond. So a few guys, like I said, I know you guys are super busy, right? Well, we all are, but you know, I know you're busy. I know that for sure.
I'm busy, but today, I mean, I had a huge meeting, yesterday in Orlando. So today I'm just kind of like chilling. I am just kind of chilling.
Are you still involved in the league, like in the NBA?
I'm
Somewhat.
not,
Okay.
I'm not involved at all, really. I'm actually, I have a weapon. I'm a partner in a weapons detection company. And
Wow.
we have frictionless walkthroughs. You see them at all the arenas and all these sporting events and things that go on. They're walkthrough frictionless walk. Most people want to call them metal detectors,
Right.
but ours has AI technology, and they're
Can I be an
just,
investor?
excuse me.
Can I be an investor? Come on, Bimbo.
Absolutely, absolutely. Extract One is the name of the company. Um, but I'm in Florida, so I've worked the um the education vertical, so I'm in the schools. So I've been going around just kind of like meeting with, school districts.
Okay.
So
To allow the I guess the product in schools.
in
Okay.
schools.
Well,
Yep.
we need them though. We need them, right? Because we
Yeah, yes.
um
Unfortunately, we need them. I mean, that's the world we live in now, but
yep. But
you
not
know,
only
we
in schools.
well, yeah, I mean, we're working with schools, we're working with hospitals, any kind of special events.
Can I give you some insight, Bimbo?
Absolutely.
Even in churches, we need them.
Yeah, well, we went to a convention in Indianapolis about 2 months ago. It was a church convention,
Wow.
and we haven't picked up a church yet, but there's a church this huge church in Maryland that we're going to see next month. Yeah,
No, we need them because just about a week ago, maybe a couple of days ago, some dude decided to drive his car into that church. And I mean, yeah, that was like a week ago, right? So they did that, and then the week after, they found a few, I want to say yeah, teenagers with carrying weapons, right? Now, I don't think, just my honest opinion, right? I don't think you should bring guns inside of into church. I don't think that's that's okay, right? But I get it though, right? I get it. I mean, if you're in a bad, you know, area or whatever the case may be, but even then, right? So I think we need them there. I mean, with all these, and I hope I don't get a strike, right? But with all these school shootings and stuff like that, I mean, we need them. We need them. Absolutely, we need them. I agree. Listen, I could invest, Bimbo. You let me know. I'm ready. I can meet you guys in Florida, Maryland, Ohio, you name it, California. I'm there. Right.
Okay.
I'm willing to. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yep, yep. I'm here. I'm here. If you guys
All
need
right.
help,
Well,
yeah,
I'll definitely keep you in mind for that for sure.
yeah, because we need it. We need it. Absolutely. And I'm wow. What made you go that route?
Well, I moved when I finished playing, I moved back to West Virginia and just was kind of doing nothing but I was coaching high school basketball. I was just kind of following my kids around. Um, a guy who owned a security company um, wanted me to come on board and basically and there's nothing wrong with it, but he wanted my minority status. Um, so I did.
Gotcha.
When we were dealing with physical security, security guards, but as far as making any decent money, you really couldn't because I mean, you're paying like security guards like $11 an hour, and there just wasn't enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
We were working at a state fair, and at the time, the fair brought this was the first year that they was working with weapons detection systems.
Right.
So I got like some education on it, but the owner of that company was like, "Hey, Bimbo, are you interested in owning, my company?" And I was like, it kind of threw me for a loop, but I was like, "Yeah." So, long story short, I saw the need. I didn't really want to invest, take over his company, and I just got in the business myself, and I partnered with a group out of Indianapolis called CK2 Technologies, and basically they gave me all kind of freedom to go after the markets down in Florida.
Oh,
And
that's great.
the cool thing about it is I get to go into the schools. I get to be part of something that is rewarding. Of course, the money is good as well, but it's just rewarding to be able to go in and talk to these school districts and be able to help them have put preventative measures in place to
Right.
make sure the schools are safe. But not only that, I get an opportunity to speak to the ballers. Every school that we've kind of like
Oh,
started to
that's great,
with.
Bimbo.
I mean, I get to go, be not be a part of, but I get to talk to the kids, the hoopers, you know, and it's
They're
been
excited to
it's
see you.
been yeah, yeah, and it's crazy because a lot of them don't really know who I am until you can Google Bimbo Coles and it pulls everything up.
Yep, yep.
So, in today with technology, what do the kids do? They Google stuff. So, after being at these places for a minute, these kids are like, hey, they're picking my brain, asking if I'll, come watch them play. And so to be able to relate and talk to kids that want to be where I got to and be able to give them advice, it's been really rewarding for me. So I have an opportunity to make some money, but the bigger opportunity is to be able to relate and be somebody that a kid, can talk to. So it's
Absolutely.
it's 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 been really rewarding.
See, that was my I have a few more, right? But that was my next question. Like, what advice would you give a young player who may not be a star or whatever the case may be, but want to have a long career like you?
Well, it's first of all, get your education.
Right, right.
Have a backup plan. You know, even if you do make it, guess what? The ball's going to stop bouncing. And not every player is not every player is a superstar. Not everybody's going to get a check that, you know, LeBron and Steph and all of these, you know, the superstars of the league, you know, their money should last them for the rest of their lives. So
Absolutely.
the back prepare yourself for when the ball stops bouncing. But second thing is you gotta put the time in. You gotta put the time in. You know, if you're not working, if you miss a day, you're behind. And it's so much repetition, 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 and then more. I had an opportunity to speak a couple weeks ago, and you know, that's what I talked about is like, did you work out yesterday? You know, you have all these kids saying, I'm gonna be a professional NBA player. Well, my question to these kids was, what did you do yesterday? Kids like, I didn't do anything basketball-wise yesterday. Then I'm like, well, you're not gonna make it because there's a kid out there that was working yesterday. And talent doesn't get you, doesn't it, talent may get you there, but it's not going to keep you there because everybody that makes the NBA is talented. Every,
Yep, yep, yep.
you know, it's funny when they talk about the 12th man on the bench being a scrub.
Not at all.
That 12th man on the bench was the best Division One player at St. Bonaventure.
And no regular street ball is beating him.
No,
Absolutely not.
not even close. I mean, it's funny. My girlfriend and I went to the beach with her family, and this was the first time I went with her family. And the guy from the other side, the first day, he was like, "There's basketball rim outside. You know, let's go play 1-on-1. I'll bust you up." And I was I was like, "What? You're not gonna bust me up. There's not a chance that you're gonna bust me up. There's not a
You
chance."
still got it, Bimbo? You still got it?
I mean, I can still hoop. I
Yeah,
mean, the
yeah,
average
yeah.
guy coming off the street is not going to beat me. Not today.
That
No,
that
still,
I agree.
no. I mean, I stay in good shape. I work out every day.
That's good.
So I can go hoop if I had to. I mean, I don't, you know, my body, if I go play now, it takes me 2 weeks to recover from one day hooping. So I don't do it as much. But when I get when somebody wants to talk that game, then that gets my juices and my competitive spirit firing a little bit, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. And I may hurt for 2 weeks after that, but
So no, no, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're right. So now, yeah, I guess I'm assuming, right? I'm making an assumption. Your favorite thing to do is golf,
absolutely,
right? Because I see you a lot with G Money.
yep.
I see you a lot with who else was there that I was like, oh wow. Can't
I
remember,
mean,
but I know Glenn Rice.
I play with Kevin Gamble a lot down. Kevin Gamble lives in Naples. He was actually lived when I moved to Naples. He was like 100. His house was 100 meters from mine. So, and we
Wow,
played
that's
together in Miami. He
close.
was he was with the Boston Celtics, but we played together in Miami. So we were pretty good friends. So, um, you know, just to be able to get out there and compete against my fellow NBA players is a treat. And I love golf. I mean, it's you're playing against the course, you're playing against yourself.
How's your swing, Bimbo? We got to bet. We got to bet. We got to make a bet. How's your
Okay,
swing?
am I can get it around. I can put the ball in the hole. How about that?
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm not
but it's
Tiger Woods,
something.
but I can swing.
Yeah, I mean, I started playing back in the early '90s when I was in Miami.
Oh
Just
wow.
because they'd say, "Hey, who want?" There's a golf tournament that's raising money, and we want a few Miami Heat players to come and play or just be a part of it. And I can remember going and playing and getting on the tee box, with used clubs and swinging and missing the ball and was like, what the heck? And so from there, I can remember I played when I was in Miami, and then that summer I went back to Virginia Tech, and I was playing with some of my buddies that I went to school with that, were already golfers, and they was just kind of like joking and laughing about the way I played. And then after that, I was like, I'm going to get lessons. So I started just taking lessons, and I practice. Golf is the most humbling sport that I've ever played, but I absolutely love it.
It's so peaceful, right?
Yeah, it
It's
is.
very peaceful.
Yeah. I mean, early on when I was playing, it wasn't peaceful because I was just kind of like, I'm not going to say I was a wreck, but I didn't take losing and not being able to do something, I've always been able to do pretty much everything very well. I was kind of that guy. And then have a sport that I wasn't good at was tough early on for me. I mean, I was a club thrower. Um,
Oh, wow, really?
yeah, I mean, I threw my clubs in the pond once. Um, but it
Oh
helped
my
me.
God.
I saw, and this is kind of like, being a professional athlete, being a professional basketball player. The amount of reps it takes to go out and be able to shoot the basketball and play the game. It's millions and millions of reps. Well, I saw Tiger Woods hit a bad shot on TV, and I started thinking to myself, who the heck do I think I am to be going crazy and throwing clubs on a golf course when Tiger Woods can hit a bad shot? If Tiger Woods can hit a bad shot, I shouldn't be tripping on hitting a bad shot because I know the amount of time it takes to be a professional athlete. And he's a
So your
professional.
mindset changed.
My
That's great.
mindset
That's
totally
great.
changed because it's like, you have all these people that tell you, I should have been an NBA player. Well, no, you shouldn't have because you haven't put the time in.
Yep.
So that was very humbling for me. So now I'm at peace when I'm out there, and I take the good with the bad. I mean, you're not always going to hit a great shot. You can hit a bad shot and you can still recover from it. Um, and if you get a 8 or 9 on a hole, it's part of the game.
That's it.
You don't want an 8 or 9 ever, but sometimes you get them, and that's okay.
What a G Money, is he a good golfer?
G Money can play. He's struggling a little bit right now because he had a
Yeah,
carpal
yeah.
tunnel surgery on his wrist.
Oh,
So he hasn't been able, like I in his tournament a couple weeks ago, he hit a couple balls, but he had just been like a month and a half out of surgery
oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
was struggling a little bit. And then
Is he doing good now?
he's doing better, but he's had another surgery on
Oh
the same
man.
thing. So, but I mean, I spoke to him a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "I'm better. It's probably going to be a month or so before I get back on the course, but it's they think they figured out the problem, and he's going to be all right to be able to continue playing a game that he loves."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is our last question, Bimbo. And this one here is hmm, how can I put it? Well, I always ask it, but I always trying to find different ways to be dramatic and cinematic, right? But let's just get straight to it. If there was one message for the world, what would that be?
Treat others as you want others to treat you.
Anything else besides that, or just that?
just that, because I just think the world is so screwed up right now. And, we have such a separation and split, especially in the United States. You got these people over here and these people over here, and we're the United States of America. How come we're not all together? And if you treated everybody as you wanted them to treat you, it'd be a much better place.
I yeah yeah. The way things are going now, well, by the grace of God, we're not going into World War III, right? According to CNN and all these news vlogs and but I just don't see why they they don't see I guess the bigger picture, right? Meaning like exactly what you said. If you love one another, right? And this was said by Jesus himself, right? If you don't love one another, then you know, well, this topic, and I'm it's crazy because I'm the one asking the question, but this gets me real mad, emotional, right? Because being a follower of Christ, you have to love one another, right? Love your enemy and so forth. But it seems like us, right? And I include myself in that bowl. We don't, for some reason, we don't, right? We hate each other. We're either, you know, racist for some reason. Um, so I guess the bigger question is how we fix that.
I, I wish I knew, man. To me, we're the United States is on a straight path for destruction. I mean,
I
you
think the
know,
red carpet
the
is laid out.
the Bible talks about superpowers and a day where it's going to happen to us where we're not going to be up here, and it's because of greed. Um,
Pride.
Pride. I mean, that's a huge one, is pride. And, we're supposed to be the best country in America and we treat people like doo. We've as a country, our leaders of this country have made racism okay. Like I see more racism in the world today than I did growing up back in the 80s and 70s when it was terrible. And now with our administration, they made it okay to be racist. And to me, I don't get it. I mean, I was listening to this guy talk the other day, and he was talking about man of color has been around for like 4 million years, and the white has been around for 400 years. And because you white, you're supposed to be better than a black person because of the color of your
Wow.
skin. That's hard for me to see and accept because
The
it's
grasp.
color.
Yep.
It's color. And
That's it. Yep.
so and I've never seen color. Like I grew up seeing racism. I mean, I'm a black man that's grew up in West Virginia where it's predominantly white, but I never saw color. I saw people, and I'm still that way today. It's just kind of like I may be black, you may be white, but that doesn't make a difference to me because I see a person instead
Right.
of
Right.
color. And how come I think it's something that's simple. When you're a racist because of somebody's color of their skin. So what's the difference in going out and purchasing a brown couch?
Right,
You
right.
know, I'm looking at the stuff you got in your background. You got colors and stuff, but you got a fax machine that's black. So what's the difference? So that's tough for me to swallow and to watch. You know, when you talk about let's make America great again, but you definitely divided the country and you made racism okay. That's hard for me. That's real hard for me.
Yeah, and as a Hispanic, right? Seeing what's happening now with a lot of you know immigrants getting deported back to their countries and stuff like that.
Dude, that's terrible. Like and I like I so when I'm down in Naples, I drive to I drive through Bonita Springs, Florida. So when I go, there's a high Mexican population, and these guys and women, they ride their bikes. They all have these bikes. And there's a place where there's a gas station on the corner here, and there's another gas station on this corner, and then there's kind of like a roundabout.
Mhm.
But before you get to the gas station, lined up, and then around the gas stations, and they're dude, there was like a couple hundred bicycles.
Wow.
I drive through there every morning because I was like taking my dogs down to the beach. So every morning, like at like 6:45, I'm driving through there, and I'm like, man, check all of these guys going to work. You know, they all got jobs, they're making money for their families, you know. Um, I went by there last week, nothing. When I say nothing, nothing. No bikes, no Mexicans, nothing. And I was like, it made me, I mean, I get a little emotional talking about it, but I got emotional and I was just like, this is not who we are as people in the United States of America. That's not who we are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that makes me sick to my stomach. It does because you're all these people that you just ruined their lives when they're just here trying to make a better life for themselves. I get it. There's a few gang bangers that come through and that are not doing the right things, but for the most part, it's good people. And I'm not saying, I mean, because I mean, you talked about being part of a gang and stuff, but look at you now. So one of these people are coming from wherever they're from to America. Maybe that changes their life.
Yeah, they're reformed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So let's
yeah,
give
yeah.
them an opportunity. And if they don't, then let's handle it. But for the most part, we're supposed to give these people opportunity because we're the greatest country in America. We were built on immigrants.
Yeah. And he
And
knows
now
it.
we're treating them like they're not human beings.
Yeah, he knows it. And it's crazy because he's dividing, families, right? A mom and a son, or a dad and a girl. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, and this is something that is even more mind-boggling to me. So when these early mornings, there's a dog park. So I actually go to the dog park first, and then from the dog park, I go to the beach. This is my morning routine. I go to Starbucks, take my dogs to the dog park, and then I roll out to the beach. And I just walk out on the beach, take a picture, do some videos. I don't know, it kind of clears my mind. I'm fresh. I love the air, the smell. But one morning, I was at the dog park, or I pulled up to the dog park, and there was two cops there. Had one Mexican girl in handcuffs
Mm.
in the front of his car standing, and there was another car, and he had a Mexican girl that was standing in front of his car with handcuffs on and hands behind their back. They couldn't have been no more than 12, 13 years old. They had backpacks on.
Wow.
They both was crying, like tears coming. The police officers were sitting in their car doing something. I don't know if they were running or whatever, but they had these two little girls handcuffed. I looked, the dude had his door open. I rolled up. I was walking because I had my dogs. I walked right in between the cop cars and I looked at him. He looked at me and I wanted to say, shame on you. Shame on you. I didn't say anything because I'm a black man. And what, I mean, he could do something to me.
They'll cuff you up quick. Yeah.
So I just walked on and
Potentially,
then,
probably even more.
yeah.
Right. So
So
you don't want to deal with that. Yeah.
I took 20 minutes. I come back by and he was still there. And I walked around and he looked at me again. I looked at him and I was just, I mean, seriously, I was sick. I was sick to my stomach after that. It's,
Wow.
to me, I mean, two little girls, they couldn't have been no more than 12, 13 years old. What backpacks on? They were going to school.
And now they're getting deported, right?
Yes.
Potentially to deportation. Yeah.
And don't, and,
Not
you
seeing their
know,
mom,
not
you know.
going, yeah, they're just going to take them and work. I mean,
Yeah. They take them to that camp, right? Wherever they have, because they have a camp here in Jersey, but they'll probably take them to the closest camp and probably not even reach their parents.
right.
Not even it's just send them out. That's it. And that is it breaks my heart,
Yeah.
right? I'm not Mexican. I'm Ecuadorian, right? Which is in South America. I was born here, so I'm thank God I'm fine, right? In that aspect, but I feel for them, right? It's very
Yes.
sad. Um, my wife, I met my wife 12 years ago. We've been married for, hopefully she doesn't get upset because I'm gonna get it right this time. Been married for 7 years, I think, maybe eight, but 7 or 8. Um, and she was an immigrant, right? When we got married, she's Costa Rican. So when we got married, I was able to, I guess, provide, the paperwork that she needed, right? But even her being a resident, right, not having a record, right? Because that's what they look at, right? You having a record or you either whatever. As long as you don't have no misdemeanors and felonies, I think you're fine. But over here in Jersey, for some reason, they was taking any and everybody. Didn't matter whether you had felonies, misdemeanors. No, like if you was a resident, like and you were born in a different country, you're getting shipped out, right? But so my wife a couple of weeks ago didn't even want to come out. And I'm like, yo, babe, relax. Like, we good. We straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're fine, but either way, I mean, that happened in Newark, which is, I'm about half hour away. Right. So we didn't see that over here where I'm at. Um, so yeah, but it's tough and I feel for them. Obviously, again, I'm Hispanic, I'm Latino. And yeah, I'm praying for those people, right? For my brothers and sisters, and they don't have to be Spanish neither. They can be from the UK, they could be from Jamaica, they can be from, what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
shipping everyone out. It don't matter. It's just unfortunately is more Latinos because Mexico is attached to Texas and all these places, so they can just cross the border, right? But Jamaica can't do that, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, God bless you, brothers, man, and I'll be praying for you guys. But Bimbo, I want to say thank you so much. Um, you're a friend now. That's it. You're a friend
Well,
now. That's it.
well,
We're gonna golf together. We're gonna shoot hoops together.
right
Shout out
on,
to G
Mike.
Money.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been great, man. It's been a nice conversation. I've enjoyed it, and I'll follow you, and I look forward to meeting you live in person.
No, absolutely, Bimbo. Here's the thing. See, the funny thing is that I know you, but you don't know me because I've been watching you. X amount of years. So I know you more than you know me. You know? But again, I'm a true fan. Um, I've watched you for so many years, and it was my pleasure, man. Like you don't understand, Bimbo. Like this is I love what I'm doing now.
Well, that's awesome.
I love it, right? I love meeting you guys and just becoming friends, right? Texting you guys here and there. Hey, what's up? How you guys doing? Yo, listen, you want me to go? I'll listen. I'll take the plane. I go. I love it. But again, thank you so much, Bimbo. Um, I appreciate it. I think you followed me already. Followed you a while back. Um, and I thank you and God bless you, Bimbo. And we're gonna talk. I mean, if you don't mind, I'll shoot you my number through DM and we'll talk.
Right on. I'll do the same. Shoot me your number. I'll shoot you mine. And I seriously, I appreciate, the time that you've given me this afternoon. And it's been a pleasure. I mean,
Likewise.
it's been nice to be able to talk about some old stuff and also what's going on in the world today. I don't talk about stuff on social media and stuff like that. So to be able to kind of get that out of my system a little bit makes me feel a little bit better. So
That's
I
good.
really
That's
appreciate
good.
your time.
That's good. All right, Bimbo, we'll talk. Mic check, mic check. We out.